on Green Spring Cleaning. Thank you all for coming out today. I'd like to point out my colleagues here from the Sustainability Office who are with us today. Andrea George, our director, in the back. Steve Guild, also in the back. He's our Environmental Management Systems Coordinator. And then Lindsay Walker, our Campus Recycling Coordinator. A special thanks to the American Studies Sustainability Project as well as Vanderbilt Environmental Health and Safety for making today's series possible. Please come to the remainder of our installments in the series. Our next one will be Wednesday, March 28th in this same room from 12 to 1 p.m. on sustainable landscaping and gardening. We've got two great presenters lined up. After you're done today and finish eating, please clean up after yourselves. There are recycling bins as well as waste containers in the back of the room. Don't forget to sign in as attending if you haven't already. We'll be giving away some great unpaper towels as well as some wool scrubbies, as we're calling them, that Megan has provided us today. So I'm going to go on ahead and introduce our speaker, Megan Morton, and then we'll let her get started. So Megan is a small business owner and community organizer, and in addition to her day job as administrator at Community Food Advocates, she has also started Pro Utilitas, which means for utility, to bring knowledge and awareness to people in an accessible and easy way. She has a passion for environmental issues and tries to incorporate them into her products. Through her workshops and blogs, she shares the best and easiest ways to green your own home environment, helping you to create a lasting change. Megan is also the mother of 3 beautiful daughters who love to help her and her husband garden.
Yes.
So thanks again for joining us today, and we'll let Megan get started.
So, as she said, this is my small businesses Pro Utilitas. It started, I used to teach childbirth classes, and one of the things that always would come up in class towards the end is what kind of products should I use with my kids? Like, what kind of soap should I be using around them? Should I be buying this or this? And so it became a kind of a natural thing for me to move past just talking about the baby products into the other home products, because we did that at home. I started making my own cleaners probably about 8 years ago, just for the fun of it, to see if I could do it. I was buying really expensive, organic, plant-based cleaners for a number of years, and I just couldn't justify doing that. And also started to get a little suspicious about the fact that they were still bright blue and bright purple. And I couldn't really understand how that was truly green if it still had all those chemicals in it. What I tried to do in this presentation and in my workshops is distill all the stuff that I've learned over 8 years of doing this into something really digestible for you. So we're going to start just talking about green cleaning. Why is cleaning green important? What are the reasons we're trying to do that? You have to talk. I can't do this.
Reduce exposure to toxic chemicals.
Thank you. Reduce exposure to toxic chemicals. Other things.
Keep the water tables clean.
Absolutely. Water tables clean. Anyone else? The big one I just mentioned is the cost of the cleaners that we're buying. So we're going to kind of go through that. These are my 3 reasons: toxins, environment and sustainability, and economics. So toxins. For starters, the 3 essential categories into which most of the hazardous ingredients in household cleaning products are: carcinogens, endocrine disruptors, and neurotoxins. You would be really surprised. Everyone has that doe in the headlight look right now. But when you actually start looking at those chemicals, go to Environmental Working Group and type in what's on the back of this bottle. You would be really surprised what it says. It'll say no more than 3 exposures in a month. Don't be around it for more than 15 minutes at a time. Wear gloves when using it. None of that's on the bottle, but that's what's in the bottle. So that's a big one for me, is just looking at what you're doing and how it's going to affect you. As a mom, a big part of it for me is my kids. I don't want them to eat, lick the cabinet and get sick from it, or build up some toxic, neurotoxin issue because of it. And when you talk about like the carcinogens here, it's not just the chemicals. It's the fragrances that we use to scent our cleaners. Some of the best research that's coming out about estrogen-sensitive breast cancer is saying that we have to avoid parabens and we have to avoid phthalates, which act like estrogen. And that's in the cleaners that we use, not just the products that we put on our body. So this is a huge health issue in my mind. If you want to eat it, don't clean with it. It's a really good rule of thumb. I was pointing out earlier to her that on the back of this, which I would think most people would wipe their countertops down with this, right? On the back it says, if you're going to use it on a surface that food will come in contact with, rinse thoroughly before you put food on it. How many of you rinse thoroughly your countertop after you Lysol it? Very, very few of us, right? So when we really think about it, it's just making the choice to not have stuff around that you wouldn't feel really safe accidentally ingesting. That's a good way to think about it. The environment and sustainability. What we use impacts the world around us. Everybody knows that. You know, even if it's just spraying hairspray or the Febreze that you're using when you're making your house smell good that has organic compounds in it that are bad for the environment. This is a really cool example. In May of 2002, a study of contaminants in stream water samples across the country, the U.S. Geological Survey found persistent detergent metabolites in 69% of the streams that they tested. 66% contained disinfectants. The detergent metabolites the USGS detected were members of a class of chemicals called, I can't pronounce that, alkylphenol, see, this is why we shouldn't use it, right? I can't pronounce it. APEs have been shown to mimic the hormone estrogen, and their presence in water may be harming the reproduction and survival of salmon and other fish. Who's heard about the frogs that have changed genders all across the country? This is what we're talking about, and if it's diluted in our waters and streams, imagine how strong it is in our houses where we're using it. When you scrub your bathtub and then you take a bath in it, whatever you just scrubbed with is soaking into you as well. So just being really conscious about that, it's going out to them as well. So economics. And this is a big kicker for me. I'm a very frugal person. I have 3 kids. I have to keep my purse strings tight. Americans spend an average of $647 a year on cleaning and housekeeping supplies. Green cleaners cost twice as much as traditional cleaners, and that's not even the good green cleaners. Just the ones that you can get at Kroger, like the Greenworks, the other kinds of more mainstream green cleaners, are twice as expensive. For basic homemade cleaners, a normal household will spend about $150 a year. That is a huge difference in what you're spending. I put in the back, when we're done, you guys are welcome to come back and I can talk to you about the stuff, but that's all the stuff that you need, basically, to clean at home to make your own cleaners. Most of it is stuff that you can get over a long period of time without the first expense being huge. The biggest expense back there is the essential oils, and that just makes things smell good. So I really encourage people to, I always buy them when they're on sale at Turnip Truck, or go to one of the local places when they're on clearance and you buy a couple at a time. They last forever. So the investment is really in the containers and the thing that's going to make it smell the best. And the rest of it's pretty inexpensive. I would say I probably don't spend $150 a year. And I like making my cleaners. We make our own laundry detergent, and I still don't spend $150 a year. So how do you make the change? This is the hard part, I think, for most people. Audit what you currently use. So everyone has in front of them a little sheet of paper. And this is kind of just a really quick and easy cheat sheet on how to really process what you have. The big thing that I think is hard for people is the number of cleaners that are in your home. You know, you have some in your kitchen, and there's going to be some in the bathroom, and there's probably some in the garage or the basement. You have them all over, and you don't really know what you have because you have so many different ones. So the first thing I say is to list the cleaners you need to clean your home, or the cleaners that you're using to clean your home. Most people can't come up with, more than a few, because you really don't think about all of the specialty cleaners that we're using. This is your primary list. If it's not on that first list, you probably don't need it. If you're not using it regularly, you probably don't need it in the house. The second thing is to gather all the cleaning supplies to one space. And that's really hard to do. I have to wait till my kids go to bed when I want to do this. I have to pull everything out and put it on the dining room table. And then sight, just looking at what you have in front of you, separate into 2 piles. What you know you need to get rid of because it obviously is toxic, and what you think is green and that you want to keep. So that's like the big purge, the first purge. The second thing that you do is look at the keep pile and resort based on criteria that you've researched. So the other handout that you guys got was this little Healthy Child, Healthy World handout. This, if you guys don't know about this website and this organization, I highly encourage you to look into them. They're amazing. What they're doing is awesome, and they have a lot of good free resources for people to make healthier decisions, not just for children, but for adults as well. In here, it kind of talks about like the quick tips, what you should be doing. One of the big things here is knowing what the words biodegradable, knowing what the words non-toxic, environmentally friendly, plant-based, what those actually mean. There's very little regulation in cleaners. In fact, most cleaners don't have to put all of the ingredients on the label. They only have to put certain very toxic ingredients on their labels. So knowing what's in them is important. Healthy Child, Healthy World, and Environmental Working Group are the 2 places that I would go to look at that. On Environmental Working Group's website, you can enter in a chemical. It can tell you where it rates on a 0 to 10 scale in terms of safety. And then you can make the decision yourself, whether or not it's something that you want to have around. It's really time-consuming the first time that you do it, but eventually you get to the point where you know on the site of what chemical it is, whether or not it's safe. The hard part is that there are totally safe ingredients that sound like, the craziest word you've ever heard, and so obviously it's not natural. And that's not always true. So it's a matter of kind of knowing which ones are safe and which ones aren't in your audit. I like to have people kind of go through and also look at what they're going to use for each area. So in my mind, like in our house, we have an all-purpose cleaner. We have an abrasive scrubber. That's like a soft scrub for your bath and your toilet. A window and mirror cleaner. Dish detergent, obviously, we need that. Laundry detergent. Disinfectant. Room spray, which I like because who wants their house to smell like 3 children and a dog. Hand soap, and wood cleaner. And all of these are really, really easy to make with very, very basic ingredients. And a lot of them you can, use the same thing for more of it. Like we don't have a window and glass cleaner. I use my all-purpose cleaner. It does a great job, and I only have to have 1 bottle. So that after you do the audit, the next thing that you want to do is dispose of chemical cleaners responsibly. And this is huge, because the tendency is to pour it down the drain, which is only adding to the issue that we've already talked about, right? So you don't want to clean with it. Why would you flush it down the drain? All of our local convenience sites have capability to take certain chemicals. I highly encourage you to look and see what you have in your house, where you would need to take it. I've also donated my cleaners to other groups of people that needed it, people that were in need. Most of the stuff that I had wasn't very toxic, so I didn't feel bad about letting someone else use it, but I was ready to make the switch myself. So those are a couple of the ways that you can do that. And then you need to make an action plan, figure out if you're going to make it or if you're going to buy it. Because there's a big difference between purchasing 7th generation and then choosing to make your own cleaners. And I am a huge advocate for making your own because it's cost effective and you know exactly what's in it. It also reduces the amount of travel and factory production that goes into making even store-bought green cleaners. So these are my 3 things. Go to a workshop, read up on products. Like if you're gonna go buy your laundry detergent, make sure that you know exactly what you're buying and understand what those chemicals are, what that means to you, and then getting your supplies. And the tips to go green, make it fun. This is huge. I hate cleaning. I am like the least willing to get out and all my stuff and go clean something. So I I like to make my own cleaners because then it's like a science project for me. I get to mix it up. It's my potion. I get to put all my happiness into it. And then I wear a cute apron when I'm doing it. I have fancy bottles with labels that I like. And then it feels good to me. It's like I'm blessing my home instead of just scrubbing stuff off the floor. I think that using the essential oils in your cleaners too, if you like certain scents, if certain smells are very invigorating to you, then use those. It's so hard to customize store-bought cleaners, but when you're making them at home, you have the chance to have your little thing. In the back, you'll see I have these little aluminum spray bottles. It's what I do my hand sanitizers in. And I make a spray that I spray myself with essential oils and vodka and water, so it dissipates easily. You can't drink it, unfortunately, once the oils are in it, or when it tastes very good anyway. But in a pinch, who knows, right? But those bottles are so great because I have a bunch of different scents at home, and so I can just pull the one that I want to spritz with. It's amazing. It smells so good, and it's so personal because you made it to smell the way you want it to smell. All of my kids have those instead of the gel hand sanitizers in their backpacks at school. So those kinds of things where it's fun and I'm impressed by my little silver bottle of love. It makes me feel good. I want to use it. Those kinds of things, making it enjoyable. It's like a reward. This is a picture of me making cleaners. Using unpaper products. This is huge. So I started making my own stuff at home. I bought a bunch of unpaper towels one year off of a website and paid just a ridiculous amount of money, I'm ashamed to say. And when I got them, I was like, oh, I could make those. That's so easy. Why hadn't I ever done that before? Currently, I make stuff, and the Green Wagon carries it. I have an Etsy store, and a couple other local stores carry it. It's huge in terms of the cost and the amount of stuff you're putting in the landfill. Every single day, approximately 3,000 tons of waste are produced from paper towel use in the United States alone. And they don't weigh very much. Let's really think about what 3,000 tons of paper towels looks like. That's a lot of towels. So we have a spare roll of paper towels that we use when my mom comes to town because she does not know what to do with my unpaper towels. But for everyday uses, we have tons of these towels. We have, multiple different kinds of cleaning towels. We have one big drawer that they all stack up in, and our kids know when something spills, that's where you go. And it makes a huge difference economically for us, but also just not putting that back out into the waste stream. And the cool thing I find really cool is that when we wash our kitchen stuff, because it's got cleaner on it from having cleaned, I just wash it on hot water, and they come out clean on the other side. All the same soap that I'm using in my laundry detergent, I use in my home cleaners, and it's already on there. So it's pretty cool. That's a pretty picture. Support local. This is huge for me as somebody who gets supported by a local business. Having the access to local vendors, people who make stuff. I know that Seventh Generation is awesome, and I know that Mrs. Myers is awesome, and I know that all these brands are trusted and fantastic national brands. But there are people in your neighborhood and in your city that make all of that stuff. And when you support local, you really bring it back home. You're reducing travel costs. You're supporting a local economy. One of my favorite things is Martha O'Brien Center does a laundry detergent now. And when you buy that laundry detergent, it goes back to the programs that they're doing there with the women in that neighborhood. That's huge, that they're teaching women how to do something at home from scratch, and then using the profits to continue the education programs that they're so good at doing. Buying products that support your local economy, you'll reduce the environmental cost of shipping and stocking conventional cleaners. And then there's the Green Wagon, which is my favorite place in the world. 80% of what they carry is locally made. 100% is made in the US. That's unbelievable to me. How rare is that, really? It's that they have so many different kinds of people. They also, this is the one place I can walk into without having to read the label. I know I don't have to read the label. I can if I want to, sure, it's there, I can read it. but they do all the vetting for you. So on the front end, you can go in, you can know that the soap that you're buying is not going to have anything in it. I test them all the time on this, and they have always done a good job. So that's mostly my presentation. I wanted to open up to you guys being able to ask me questions and talk about cleaners and any kinds of tips and tricks, and then being able to look at the stuff in the back so that you know what you kind of need to be looking for if you want to make it. I'd also tell you guys that I have a workshop Saturday at the Green Wagon, and that I had told her that if anyone that wants to register for any of my future workshops, if you tell me that you came to this, then I'll give you an extra cleaner to go home with. When those workshops, we make the cleaners, so you go home with everything that you need to start cleaning instead of having to go and buy all this stuff and then go home and try to figure out how to put it together. I find that that's a lot easier for people.
What's your website?
My website is proutilitas.blogspot.com. If I can get back to it, it's at the bottom. Yeah, and then you register for that workshop through the Skillery, which is also a fantastic website if you haven't been there. They do a lot of really great workshops locally for people. So who has questions that they want to ask?
Does this site, does your site also help with ingredients to make your own?
Yes. So there's what I try to do is do blog posts that have like a recipe, something out of the box. One of my favorite ones, and kind of how I started making cleaners, was figuring out in the wintertime, you know, when you have all the citrus, like you have all those orange peels going into your compost pile. I, at some point, heard something about how that much citrus is bad for the pH of the compost pile. We weren't producing a lot of other vegetable scraps, and so I was afraid to put this, you know, pile of my kids eating 5 oranges a day into the compost pile. I had this huge bowl of it on my counter, and so I decided that I would pickle it. So I put the orange peels in vinegar and shook it up, just stuck it under my sink, and every couple days I'd go back and shake it. And then I waited until the oranges were like this weird gray color, and the vinegar was this beautiful orange color, and I strained it out. And instead of using straight vinegar to clean with, I used my orange vinegar. And so it's things like that, like I'll post a recipe of how to do that, or how to make laundry soap, or testing other stuff out. We do, yeah, we make our own shampoo. We make almost everything. Yeah, it's hard, but it's good, and it's so cheap, it's hard to go back from that.
Yeah.
You have a question?
Yeah, I use a lot of the essential oil also
Mhm.
for like medicine, like
Yeah.
eucalyptus to clear me up.
Fantastic.
I'm really struggling with the price of finding a good
Mm-hmm.
supplier. So
Totally.
wondering where you got yours. The best prices I've found so far, oddly enough, are from a massage spa, and they're like $6 a container.
Okay.
It's like $20 a container that I had paid.
There's a couple of different ways to do it. So like I said, I wait until Turnip Truck. They do their sales monthly. If you don't know this is a good tip for people who like to buy stuff at Turnip Truck. All their sales are by the month. I wait until their essential oils go on sale, and then every week I go back with a little bit more money and buy more. And usually they're 20 to 40% off, which is pretty significant savings. The other thing I would say is that you can get different sizes, and that, yeah, the little ones are way more expensive per ounce than the big ones are. So if it's about making that investment on the front end, you don't have to have every oil known to mankind. I have a ridiculous collection because this is what I do, and so I need to have every kind of oil that you've ever seen. But you know, sticking to lavender, tea tree, I love red thyme because it's antiviral, so it will kill the flu. It's what all those fancy green cleaner companies use in their disinfectant. It's called red thyme, and it stinks. You have to marry it with some other oil so that you don't hate the way it smells. But it's a really, really fantastic disinfectant. I like lemon. It's super cheap. Sweet orange is really cheap. So like kind of figuring out how you can get a couple of expensive oils and mix them with the less expensive is important. There's a company called doTERRA that I know the local distributor, and she does, like, you get discounts on wholesale orders with her, basically. So if you buy a lot at once, you would get a bigger discount and be able to stock what you're doing. And we use them for everything too. You know, we make a chest rub out of coconut oil and eucalyptus and lavender in the winter for our kids. It's what we put in their baths every time that they take a bath. So, you know, they are very multi-purpose and they last forever. Like I have bottles back there that I've had for over a year doing workshops all the time. So, but yeah, finding the price thing is hard. I know it's like online searching is a good thing, but you're ordering from whoever, you know, some huge company. Green Wagon does carry some essential oils, and they're actually pretty well priced. I know that they have the best price on Dr. Bronner's, which is the main ingredient in most homemade cleaners. You can buy it by the ounce if you bring your own container, which is super fantastic to me, because then you're not buying a bunch of other containers that, you know, you don't need to have. We just refill ours all the time. I'm trying to think of other places. There's High Mountain Herbs, I think, does that. And if you search, you could find probably some pretty good deals online. But locally, it's really hard to find them for a good price unless you get them on sale.
Where's the Green Wagon? I assume it's down here somewhere?
It's on 1100 Forest in East Nashville.
1100.
It's right up by 5 Points. Yeah.
A piece of information I want to pass on, and then a question too. At the Vanderbilt EDU Sustainability website, we've listed all of the household hazardous waste pickup days
Yay.
that are coming up here in Middle Tennessee. They're in different counties on different weekends. So look for a county near you, anywhere from Lawrenceburg up to Clarksville and so on. And it's not just cleaning chemicals, but you can take paints there. And
That's so great.
and a bunch of other stuff too, pesticides and things like that. So if you are going to indulge in this spring cleaning purge, that's a good time to do it. So they usually will have events also throughout September and October. So March, April, September, October. Go to that calendar and you'll be able to find the different dates and times and contact information for that location. Now here's my question.
Okay.
Since you have a dog, right, and dogs sometimes do things on rugs and floors that you don't want them to do, what do you suggest? Because that's not just your ordinary.
The biggest thing is to absorb as much of that as quickly as possible, which I think is the hard part, because usually you're not there when it happens. You come home and it's there. But if you can animate it, which is, you know, the biggest, not just spraying it down with something, but get it wet with water, which is going to help carry it back up out of there. So my suggestion is to re-wet the area and then try to absorb as much of that as possible. Vinegar will balance the pH, but will smell really bad for a little while. Generally with like light-colored rugs and things like that, there's actually a store-bought brand I like, which is, it's BioClean, makes something called Back Out, which is a lime-based enzyme cleaner. It is amazing. It will get stains out of anything. We cloth diapered, and it was like the thing that we used instead of bleach to get all the stains out. But it's BAC-OUT, and you can get it at Turnip Truck. I know that Whole Foods has it. You can order it online. -OUT, like bacteria out. And I like to get the concentrate, not the one that has the spray bottle already on it. It's a better value to get the concentrate and mix it up in a spray bottle and do it yourself. So.
Is that what you would use in laundry then? If you used it for your diapers instead of, you know, OxyClean or Clorox?
A stain stick or something, yeah. I mean, I really just we make up a dish detergent or a laundry detergent that is, they're all back there. It's super washing soda, which is an Arm & Hammer product, baking soda, which helps soften the water so the stains actually come out, and borax. Some people have sensitivity to borax, and so you can leave that out if you do. The other thing that you have to add to that is a soap, because you need something to help release the dirt from the clothes. I like to use a dry base, so like I like it to be able to be in a tub. So I grate Castile soap from a bar. I have it back there. It's Kirk's Castile, and it's a coconut-based bar soap. This detergent does not suds like every other detergent that you've ever seen. It doesn't smell like anything. You can add essential oils to it if you want to, but it costs about 2 cents a load, which is pretty incredible. And if you took the borax out, it would be gray water friendly. So the borax is not great for plants, so you wouldn't want to use it in a gray water system. But it's pretty cool. And the big thing is understanding like what each of those things is doing. So you don't need a stain stick on everything, and you don't need OxyClean most of the time. You know, you can do loads where you do that to treat specific clothing, but the vast majority of our clothes wear out so much faster because we are killing them with all these chemicals. I mean, those commercials about the detergent that doesn't turn your blacks gray, well, it's just that all of our detergents are so harsh that they're turning our blacks gray. Like, why would you do that? So I kind of stick with the bare minimum if I can get away with it. I do add extra borax on my husband's clothes because he gets very dirty when he gardens.
Do you have the recipes?
It's online. It's on my site. Yeah. So and it's great. Like I think the recipe that's on the site is using liquid Castile soap because I had somebody who had trouble finding the bar. And so I tested out the liquid version, but it's super easy to do. The best part about it for me is that I can throw all of that stuff in my stand mixer, turn it on, and my 3-year-old can watch me do it. And I don't have to worry that she's coming into contact with stuff that's bad for her, which is a pretty great feeling when you're doing that. So.
Yeah, how do you get rid of fleas?
Borax is actually what I would suggest for that. So if you can treat the area, like if it's carpet, you would sprinkle that. You would leave it for 24 hours. If it's hardwood, same thing. You'd kind of sweep it down into the cracks of the hardwood. And then you wait 24 to 48 hours. And when you vacuum it up, all these little dead fleas will come with it.
It also works on peanuts.
Mm-hmm. What it is, it's so abrasive that it etches their little sides and dehydrates them. So it works for cockroaches as well.
And will it bother your pets?
No, it really doesn't bother. I mean, some pets that have super sensitive skin might be bothered by it. It's best to try to do that where you aren't in the area or they're not in the area for a little while. The other thing you can do with pets is neem oil, if you've not ever done that. And you can get a soap that has neem oil in it. You can put it in their food, but it will make them taste really bad to fleas, and fleas will just not want to be around them. It's more of a preventative, but it works really well.
What is that, NEAM?
It's NEEM. Mm-hmm. In older civilizations, they also used it as birth control, which is a very interesting thing. So it's a multi-use. We like things that you can use multiple ways. Any other questions?
I have some questions about,
Yeah.
I haven't found a natural product that works for this thing, which is unclogging drains, and I'm wondering if you have any
So
suggestions
we
about,
do 2 things. Is it like kitchen or bathroom?
like the bathtub.
Okay, the bathtub. What I would do, one, is if you haven't seen the do you have the snaky thing that will go in and pull things out?
Oh.
It's white and it's got the little ridges on it. It's about $1.38 probably at a hardware store. Love it, yeah, because it's usually hair in the bathroom. Right, lots of long, curly, beautiful hair. So first I would do that, and it's this long. You shove it down there and you pull it out, and a bunch of gross stuff's going to come with it. And you do that a couple times until nothing major comes out. Second is you want to put a good amount of hot, soapy water in a bucket, and we're talking like dish soap, something that's going to degrease.
Okay.
And you dump it. So you're degreasing the drain. And then you're going to take baking soda and dump it all around the drain. And I mean, like, you're going to make a nice little Mount St. Helens there. And then you're going to dump probably a gallon of vinegar over it. And it's going to flush that whole thing out. And then you're going to run hot water. And I promise it'll work. My mother-in-law once poured bacon grease down my kitchen sink. And this is what we had to do to get it to work. But it worked. So,
That's great.
yeah.
Yeah, because I just can't bring myself to dump those chemicals.
Oh, no, it's so
in there.
bad,
It's
too.
really-
It's so bad. And, I mean, we have kids that use too much toilet paper. I have had to do this in our toilet. Like, you have to find innovative ways to deal with it. But combo of degreasing and then just busting through with the baking soda and vinegar will probably do the trick.
Cool.
Anything else?